back. Well, we've seen Law & Order and Prime Suspect shows right here on NBC, but could there be a call for some new crime-solving show involving pets? It's a great question. Our pet vet Dr. David Visser tells us that pets are actually helping investigators solve crimes, and he joins us in studio this morning. Doctor, thanks so much for coming in again.
Good morning, Seth.
It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
We know about police dogs and how they help with some crimes, but there are some other interesting cases where pets have been involved.
Well, it's really an interesting thing. DNA is everywhere, and right here in Lakeville there was a crime that many people remember, a triple homicide, where Philip Stroud was accused and ultimately convicted of this crime. His contention in the defense was that he had never gone out to the barn where the crime actually occurred, and the prosecution was saying that yes, he was there. Well, evidence was collected from his shoes that showed evidence of carpet fibers from in the house where the robbery was occurring and in the barn where the dog's feces were. And by finding both of these, it really interrupted his defense. And so that was a very interesting case, very compelling for the prosecution, in other words.
And this is one unique case, but does this kind of stuff happen a lot?
And actually, hundreds or thousands of cases have been presented since 1996 when forensic evidence was first presented in a case in Canada. And it has really made a big difference. It's been so compelling that it has even created the field of veterinary forensics.
Interesting, very interesting. So what kind of cases do we see with science? How does science play into this? I mean, you've kind of mentioned it a little bit, but are there other ways that it plays in?
Yeah, you know, there's many different kinds of cases that might be presented. First of all, crimes of one person to another, murder, rape, and kidnapping are certainly very common ways in which DNA evidence is presented, not only human DNA evidence, but evidence from the crime scene, which could be involving animals. But of course, human against animal crimes involving poaching and animal abuse have also been using DNA cases or animal DNA presentation in the prosecution's case. These have all been very helpful, and so it has made a real big difference in some of the presentations that have been done.
Now, you mentioned dogs. Are there other pets that also, you know, have been seen in some of these cases where it at least contributes to being able to find some of this evidence?
Well, the neat thing is that DNA is in every living cell, and so DNA, when it is first identified on a piece of material, it is identified down to the species, but then that also can be identified within dogs and cats nowadays, down to even the breed that is affected, and so we can identify the presence of those things. There's even a specialized genetics laboratory at the University of California, Davis, that is accredited by the American Society of Crime Lab Directors.
Now, you mentioned one case off the top of the segment. Are there some other cases, any other examples? We have a little bit of time. I'm interested to hear. You got anything else?
Yeah, while we were talking at the break, there's one case was an assault case in 1999 where the person could not identify the assailant, but her dog had actually urinated on the tires of the car, and the DNA tied this person to the crime scene. In another case, murder there was a single cat hair that was identified in the pocket that was turned inside out by the burglar, and that hair actually was traced back to that burglar's home.
Wow, so unknowingly these pets are actually helping to solve crimes.
Yes, exactly. They drool, they shed, they urinate, they have feces, and all of these DNA sources are ubiquitous in the environment, so it makes it a new game that we're playing in crime solving.
Well, we have a little bit of time left too. When we talk about crimes similar to what we're talking about here, do people, do we often, I guess, let me go here. Do police know to look for this kind of stuff at this point? Is this something that's a common science that's being taught to say, hey, look for hair fibers and things like that, or is this something that they're just kind of catching on to?
Well, good forensic process means that crime scenes are not disturbed, and so the people, maybe not the police officers that are first on the scene, they may have a main goal of protecting the scene, but then the investigators who come in do a very diligent job in collecting all sorts of data, including forensic data that might include DNA. It's a very important part. DNA is very, very unique. In that case in Lakeville, the probability of the DNA being matched with another dog was 1 in 10 billion. And there aren't even 10 billion dogs in the United States.
Pretty accurate then.
Yes.
Accurate. All right, Dr. David Visser, thanks so much for coming in. If you'd like to contact the pet vet doctor, Dr. David Visser, you can reach him at the Center for Animal Health by calling 888-PETS-VETS, or you could always just shoot him an email as well at michianapetvet@comcast.net.